Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I am gratified to learn that more and more people are getting a little deeper, getting a little spiritual, if you will. Sometimes that word scares people because they equate it to religion right away. And that's not what we're talking about. Can be if you want it to be, but that's not the starting point. And once you tap into the spiritual side of you, and we all have it, that's my belief, life starts changing. You start seeing things in a different way. We're going to talk with somebody today who helps people make those connections, realize things, actually heal from certain things. She is a trained and certified spiritual healer, and we're going to learn a lot today from her. And her, by the way, her company is called Blissful Love and Light, and that's what we want for everybody. Jacqueline Sickora joins us on the program. How you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much. And also, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Great to have you here. And I'm out of the gate, just for people to understand, spiritual healer, those two words. What are we talking about?
So as a spiritual healer, the main thing I do is I want to help people. I've actually been helping people my whole life. And it's what I do, helping people. And I want to help people achieve a state of inner peace and relaxation. That's my main goal. And I also want to help as many people as I can.
So what's going on with us? Why we would, and I found the answer myself in my journey, but why do we need to be healed? And why do we need to be spiritually healed?
So we need to be spiritually healed because we often have a lot of past traumas, and oftentimes medication alone doesn't work.
Gotcha.
And so for me, for example, all the services that I offer, I use medication in conjunction with spiritual healing to heal from things like depression, bipolar disorder, anxiety. I've also healed from low self-esteem, self-confidence issues, PTSD, anger issues. Also, I've dealt with boundary issues, and I've used all of my services to do that.
Do you feel that many of us don't realize what's going on with us, and that's why we're being held back? We're holding ourselves back. We don't even realize it, but it could be, when you say the word trauma, something that happened in your childhood. You don't even realize that it's holding you back from, let's say, making more money, better relationships, all that.
Absolutely, yes. And actually, there's something called an inner wounded child.
Yeah.
And actually, I blogged about it on my website, or on my blog. And so there's this inner wounded child that actually affects us as an adult. And one thing that I help with is healing that wounded inner child. And it's really important, because if you don't heal that wounded inner child that stays with us as an adult, it can definitely hold us back in relationships and making money, and just in our adulthood overall.
In my journey and studying this, and you're the expert, I'm not trained, I'm not certified in any of this. I'm certified in life. That's about it. It could be something as apparently insignificant as you're 5 years old, you heard something, wasn't even directed at you. You're walking past a room, somebody says something, or maybe you got bullied on the playground, and maybe continuously, or it was a one-off. And that made such a mark on you as a young child that you're carrying that with you right into your adult life. And that is presenting challenges to you. Does that make sense?
Yes, actually, I was bullied really badly.
Me too.
From kindergarten, from the first day that I got on the bus. This girl, she tripped me as soon as I got on the bus. I was in my little pink dress. She tripped me. Everyone started laughing at me. And actually, it went all the way through 12th grade. There was 12 days left to my senior year, and I call them the three blonde bees. And they tried to hit me with a car with 12 days left of my senior year. And it was just very tragic for me. And I actually didn't learn to stick up for myself until I graduated high school. Yep. Until actually I moved to Brooklyn, and then I learned to stick up for myself when I moved to Brooklyn. And that's
if it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to happen in Brooklyn.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And because there's a different atmosphere there. And yeah, so that's why the spiritual healing is so important to me, because I want to teach people how to stick up for themselves, because I know what it's like not to be able to stick up for yourself, because I've been there.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Same thing for me, from elementary school all the way up to junior high to high school. I was a fat kid, never picked for dodgeball, would walk during the lunch period, just walk the field by myself. Okay. And I just got a memory that the one kid that stood up for me, Ralph Competenti, never forget it. I could tell you where it was. It was by the playground. This was in elementary school. This is a sad story coming. He stood up, and then finally I got, some power back. And not far after that, I was driving with my mom, and there was a car accident. It was actually a truck accident, and these two kids skitched. That's what they call it. You grab the back of a truck. Yeah. Back in the day. He was one of them, and the truck rolled back, and that ended his life. So now I dealt with that, passing by, and like, wait a minute, who is that? And it was him. And I, connected with his sister later in life. But, these things that you experience can hold you back.
Can I tell you something really crazy? Go. Actually, the girl that tripped me on my first day of kindergarten, she actually got hit by a truck a couple of years ago, but she survived. And the crazy thing is that when I found out about this, I started hysterically crying, because I felt so bad. And my mom said to me, Jacqueline, why are you crying? It's payback. And I said, yeah, but Mom, I'm not that kind of person. I don't wish bad things on people, but that was karma. And I'm glad that she survived, because the thing is that to be mean like that to someone else, there's something going on in your life that causes you to be mean to someone else. And so someone like that is projecting, so it's not you, it's not me, it's not you. They're projecting outward. And it's really important to point that out here.
I appreciate that. And I've always heard this phrase, but until I looked deeper into it, yes, it made crystal clear sense. Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And as I look back, in my life, people that may have hurt me along the way, it's like, why did they do that? What was that? Oh, I see it now.
Yeah.
And I think the spirituality part is the part that opens your eyes to all of this.
Yes, exactly. And that's really what opened my eyes to all of this, is that once I started to heal myself, I was able to see the world in a completely different light. Once I was healed, I actually felt bad for other people who weren't healed. And that's really why I do want to help people, because I know what it's like to be in so much pain that you can't function.
When you say spiritual, so now we've identified why we need to heal these things that have happened in our childhood, and we all have them. How does the spirituality help you heal, and how would you define spirituality?
Okay, well, actually, I can show you some examples. I carry crystals with me. They're in my pockets. I'm going to show you some. I'm taking them out. So these are all my crystals here. I have some here, so sorry, they're in my hands here.
If I reach up over here, I'd be out of the frame for a moment. I've got a pile of them. I've got selenite right here.
Okay, I have selenite here. Here's my selenite. And actually, I have another whole bowl right here. These are all my crystals here as well.
Wow. Okay.
I carry crystals with me everywhere I go. I have another huge bag in my purse. And so really, depending on how I'm feeling, I have a crystal for everything. And so I always have crystals in my pockets, and I have them all over my apartment. And so I work with crystals very often. And so that's one thing. And I'm sorry, what was the rest of the question?
Spirituality. How do you define that?
Okay, so spirituality is really working with the mind, body, and the soul. And I think it's really important for the mind, body, and soul to be connected as one. And so another important thing is to have the chakras balanced. And the 7 chakras are energy centers in the body that are connected to major nerves and energy supply and the blood in the body. And when the 7 chakras are not in balance, we can have major health issues like anxiety, depression, and we can feel like we don't have balance in the work, in society. We can feel like we're like we don't like we can just feel off. And so that's why I work with the crystal so often. And that's kind of what spirituality means to me, is just really balancing yourself. And so with spirituality, that's why I work with oracle cards and healing affirmations and mindful breathing and meditation very often.
Oh, breathing, huge. We could do a whole podcast just on that alone.
Yes, we can. Yes.
How do crystals work? Why do they work? I try to figure it out. I hear that we have crystals in our body and they resonate with those crystals. I don't even know if that's true.
So basically, we have an aura that is basically it's invisible, but it's kind of like this outer shield that's like about 1 inch from our bodies. And sometimes I can read people's auras, which is interesting because I was never able to before. And we also have like a white light beyond the aura that protects us as well. And also the 7 chakras are each connected to crystals. So for example, let's see, clear quartz is connected to the crown chakra, which is the 7th chakra. And let's see, what else do I have here?
I got my clear quartz right there.
Okay, yes. Yeah, so that's with the crown chakra. Black tourmaline here is connected to the root chakra, and that's like the 1st chakra. So this is a very grounding crystal. And let's see, what else do I have here? Hematite. This is a crystal that's very connected to also the root chakra and keeping us grounded. Mm-hmm. And it's very important to be grounded, because when we're not grounded, we can just feel off. And so grounding is earthing. And so it's so to be grounded, we can go hug a tree. We can go plant our feet on the earth. We can go take a walk in nature. And so we want to make sure that we're grounded. And
or you can spend $20 on a grounding mat and put your feet
on
it
all
day.
You have one? I have a bunch in my apartment too.
Yeah. And what does it do? How does that work? You connect a wire from it to the ground outlet.
Yes.
On your AC outlet. You're not going to get a shock. And where does that goes through a copper wire to the outside of your building, house, whatever, to a 4-foot rod in the ground.
Yes.
You're literally touching the ground.
Oh my God, I can't believe you have one of those. I have 3 earthing books on my bookshelf right here.
$20, Amazon, one way, or grounding sheets. I have those.
Actually, in my apartment, I have the shield. They have a shield on their website. They have the shield.
Wow.
And it protects the entire apartment. So it protects, like up to 2,000 feet. So it's called a safe house shield. And I actually have their their magnet on my keys, and
Wow, I didn't think of
connected to
that.
my keys, and so it protects from the gamma rays. And actually, they also have, I don't have it now, but they have protectors that go on the back of your phone. And yeah, so so that's why grounding is so important, because it protects from gamma rays, and it protects from our electronics, like our phones,
Sure.
because we can get a lot of negative energy from all of electronics too.
I look at it this way, and this was like kind of made it come clear for me. Who is the most grounded on the planet? Look at an animal. Look at your dog or
Yeah,
cat.
exactly,
They don't wear
exactly,
shoes. They're touching the ground all the time, and
exactly.
they're focused on living in the now
Yes,
and reading energy because that's why they've been around for so
yes,
long.
yes, exactly,
They're so grounded. And look at them. Do you ever see a dog or cat that's not happy? They're just
Ex-
chill. I'm good. I'm going
exactly.
through life.
My service dog Zeus is the happiest animal you will ever see. He is always happy. And it's funny because he either howls or he does like a woo woo woo. And he's at doggy daycare today because I didn't want him to come in here and start going woo 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 for attention. And the thing is that I am very like divinely protected. So I see animals and birds all the time. And whenever I see an animal, they are always just, you're right, they're always so happy, and they bring bright and loving energy. They are just always so happy. That's why.
And I look at my dog when I bring him from the outside to the inside. And I think most animals, especially dogs, do this. They'll just shake. And I
Yes,
look at him
yes,
like, oh, his fur maybe is, maybe the wind blew it outside and he just wants to get it in place. But then I thought about it. No, that's not what's going on. He's shaking the energy from the outside off
yes,
to transition to the inside.
yes,
And he does it every
exactly.
single time
Yes,
because animals have figured out this whole energy thing that,
yes,
many of us are either in the dark on or we're not going
yes,
to accept it. And it's,
yes.
that it's everything. It's
And
everything.
the funny thing is, Steve, when I sage, because I sage a lot to get rid of negative, stagnant energy, Zeus goes outside on the balcony because he doesn't like, the negative energy, coming out and about. So he goes in the balcony and he waits until I'm done.
And he knows he's picking up on
Oh,
it.
he knows. He knows.
Hmm.
He knows that the negative energy is coming out.
How often do you sage?
So it depends. If I feel that there's like something that needs to be cleared, I'll sage. But I like to sage at least once a week,
Hmm.
because this
Hmm.
is like my sacred space. I have three altars, three in my living room, and then here on my desk I also have some sacred figurines and other things here as well. So yeah, so each so I like to keep all of my I like to keep my sacred space clear of any stagnant or negative energy. And especially if someone, so I don't like to have many people in my apartment because this is my sacred space, but especially if someone comes over, I sage as soon as they leave, because, just because, you never know what someone else is going to bring into your apartment.
That being said, in this office building, we've worked on some projects recently this week, and there was more people coming through here. So right away, as soon as you said that, I'm like, Steve, you should sage. Nothing negative,
Yeah.
but who
No, no,
knows what's left
it's
behind?
just different energies.
Different energy. So, question on saging.
Yeah.
This is I'm tapping your spiritual side right now.
Yeah, that's
Um,
perfectly fine.
when you sage,
Yeah.
and you can use a stick of sage and burn it, some do
Yes.
that. I've also used sage spray.
I was just going to mention that.
So I have a
So,
question with that.
yeah,
This
go
is this
ahead.
is, this is my question. With the spray, a little easier than the burning. And I
Yes, of
remember
course it is.
in the last year I burned sage at home, and my daughter came running like, "Well, something's on fire." So with the spray, I've got organic real sage spray.
Yeah.
Then there was before I got that though, I got sage spray from like Bath and Body Works or whatever. And let's be honest, probably not real sage, but it
No.
smells like sage. Can you still use something like that if you put the intent into it.
Of course.
Okay.
It's the intent, really. So it's like with anything else. It's, it's your intent that counts. So basically, I'm a practicing Wiccan, and actually that's what this necklace means. And so basically, so when I cast a spell or something, it's the intent that you put into it
Yep.
that, that makes a spell or something real. So it's your intent behind anything. So with that spray, if you're putting your intent out, if you're calling on, your angels and your ancestors and whoever else, that you ask to help clear the negative energy and stagnant energy, then it will be cleared. And the cool thing with the spray is that you don't have to open any windows or the doors. When you sage with the stick, and when you have smoke, you really should open up the windows a little bit so that the negative and stagnant energy has somewhere to go. With the spray, you don't have to do that.
Now, what would the difference be? Because I'm glad you said that. With the spray, if you're going around spraying it and whatever you repeat, negative energy be gone, whatever.
Yes.
Don't you have to have a place for the negative energy to go?
So, well, in like an office building, you can't open the windows.
I can't.
Right. So with the spray, it just kind of like the spray will just absorb everything that way. And so I really do recommend saging, with a stick. But the thing is if you have help, like I have asthma, but I still sage with a stick, even though it makes me cough a lot. But if I'm, if I'm having an exacerbation or something, I'll use the spray. And so, but if you're, like yourself, and you're in an office building and you can't open the windows, the spray is the way to go, because it will still clear stagnant and negative energy. It just won't do it, as well as, as the stick will. I mean, there will probably still be some remnants, but you will still feel lighter and clearer because the spray will still get rid of some of that negative energy.
Who would be, Jacqueline, the perfect person for you? Maybe somebody's finally realizing the spiritual thing. They've been, hearing about it. Maybe friends have talked about it. Maybe some friends have crystals and they're thinking, I got to get on board here. Who would be the perfect person for you to work with?
Well, you're really great. Honestly, I don't have a lot of support from anyone around me, which is unfortunate.
But if you were to pick somebody, if somebody's listening now, somebody's watching, and you define who they are, and you say, oh, okay, so that's somebody who is stuck moving forward in life. It could be somebody who feels a little lost right now.
If I could pick anybody. Anybody that needs help. I just want to help basically anyone that is suffering from a past trauma or emotional abuse, or anyone that wants to get started on their spiritual journey. I want to help you. Yeah. So I just, basically anyone that fits either one of those categories.
Okay.
It really fits a broad span.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's so much, I think, that people are waking up now.
Yes.
I not to go woo-woo alert, not to go too deep, but we talk about things like the third, fourth, and fifth dimension.
Yes.
More people are gravitating to a higher dimension.
Yes.
Where would you say you are? I know this is a woo-woo question, but would you say you're feeling like toward the fifth dimension? You're in the fourth now. What do you think?
So I believe in divine in divine intervention, and I believe in gods and goddesses. And I believe, that they have a role in our everyday lives. And when I see a number over and over again, I believe that that's divine guidance. And if I see an animal or a bird outside, I believe that that's either a deceased loved one, or I believe that that's divine guidance telling me something. And so that's basically where I'm at, because I believe that I'm getting divine guidance every single day, telling me that I'm on the right path, telling me to keep going, telling me, that I must keep going, that I'm on, that I'm doing my divine soul life's purpose. And that I'm supposed to be helping people.
I totally get you. And for all of us, you need to open up your mind, and you need to look for those signs, because a lot of us don't, and they're all right in front of us.
Right.
Many say there's no coincidences. If something presents, like earlier this week, something came up, met somebody through somebody else, and then they knew somebody, and we just look at each other. This is just too random for something to happen. There's a reason that these connections were made this week, at least in my world. It was like, it was weird, and it went back to my past. I don't know.
Interesting.
We're on the tail end of the Mercury retrograde.
The
post phase, if you will.
Yes.
Maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know. Best way. Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, also, I was going to say the full moon. There's a full moon coming on Sunday, April 13th, and it's I believe it's the flower moon. So the fact that the full moon is coming too, and today's April 11th, so it's in 2 days, and then 3 days before the full moon is when the full moon starts coming into effect. So I was going to say, so that could have some effect on what's going on too.
I don't doubt it for a second. And astrologically, and we're out of time, but there's a lot going on right now. Like, these retrogrades, multiple planets and all that.
Exactly.
How do we find you, Jacqueline? Somebody wants to maybe figure out the spirituality thing, maybe heal the inner child that we talked about. How do we connect with you?
So my website is blissfulloveandlight.com. And on there, you can find my YouTube channel, my Pinterest, and my Yelp. And also, I'm also running a promotion right now that my first 250 customers get a free oracle card reading. And also, after every third visit, I also give a free oracle card reading.
Oh, cool. Okay. And when final question here.
Yeah.
Oracle card reading. How many cards do you pull typically?
So if you do a 30-minute session, it's 5 cards. If you do a 60-minute session, it's 10 cards. And for the 250 clients, it's going to be a 1-card pull. And after the third visit, it's a 3-card pull.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm scraping the surface on that. I don't interpret cards. I just think it's really cool.
Yes, okay. I love oracle card readings.
A lot of insight there. And a lot of insight from you. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate you having me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Likewise. I'm going to say it. I don't get to say it enough. Love and light.
Thank you. You too. Thank you. Blessed be.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.